This is our podcast. We have a podcast. We talk about shit and we talk about stuff, but we mostly just talk a lot in our podcast. On today's episode, dreams. Ooh, dreams. What do they mean? Who are they for? What could it be? I once had a university professor. He was quite a character, like your typical, like from Quebec City. He taught us French oral speaking classes. If you ever have the chance to take a class with him at the University of Ottawa, I recommend. His name is René Etienne Bellavance, and he's fabulous. But he once said, he was like, dreams are absolute bullshit. It's your brain just trying to figure out whatever the hell you did that day. It's basically just a giant filing system. It doesn't mean anything. But it was just the way he said it in this like super point blank, like joual French, which is like not
No.
pretty French. It's very like femme la porte, like it's very, anyway. So it's just yeah, you
Absolutely.
lived in Montreal, you know.
I'm
what it's
familiar.
Like, so.
I love nothing more than a person with a thick Quebecois accent to tell me that my dreams are meaningless.
Yeah. It and truthfully though, you were like, yeah, correct. You're right, sir. But yeah, I don't necessarily think that they're meaningless. I do agree with him that it's your brain, like your subconscious, sorting out what happened to you that day, or maybe what happened to you like over the course of a time. But I think like occasionally like they can show insight into something, or you just wake up and you're like, dang, that was weird.
So I have like two theories on the subject of whether dreams are useful or not. And I'm going to get them out of the way before we spend the rest of the podcast talking about how important dreams are and how telling they are. So my biggest problem is that it is impossible to really use dreams effectively because we forget so much of them. So, like, when people are like, oh, I had this very specific dream, I always think to myself, what about all the parts you've forgotten? Like, how come it's so valuable, but you don't know that the dream then later turned when all of the dream characters turned and said, psych, this was all bullshit. So, there's that.
Right? Like, what if you're actually forgetting the most important part of the dream, is what you're saying.
But the part that I kind of, like, make peace with is just, it's just like a Rorschach test or whatever, where it doesn't really matter what the dream was. It's more interesting what our understanding of it is now. And when someone tells me about their dreams, it's more interesting, like what they're going to say and what is valuable to them tells me more about them than what the dream was.
Yeah, like their interpretation of what they dreamt about. Okay, what's your second theory?
That was the second one. That was the two opinions I have on dreams. Like, honestly, I think dreams are silly to try to derive meaning from because you just can't, but it doesn't mean it's not absolute fun. A lot of fun things are silly, and I'm fine with that.
That's true. I don't know. I like interpreting dreams, but what about like dreams that foreshadow things? Okay, so, and this is like my specific story. Remember how I said earlier I had a story that like you were there for? Okay, this is that story. So do you remember when we were in grade 10, the day that Studio 20 caught fire and we all got to go home for a half day?
Vaguely.
There was a fire in the
I remember it. I don't remember me being like what I was doing, but I do remember that this happened.
Okay. Well, we were all evacuated and we all sat in like the backfield for like an hour, and then finally Principal Wiley came out and he was like, everyone just go home. So which was funny because it was like not a very, anyway, it happened like a bunch of stuff had gotten piled on a lamp that was still plugged in the tech booth, and that's what set everything on fire. Okay, so the day before that, like the night before, I had a dream that we were all evacuated out of school. However, in my dream, there was no specific reason, because in my dream, I kept asking. I was like, is it a gas leak? Is there a fire? Is this a lockdown? And no one would answer me. We just were evacuated and told to go home. And then the next day, there was a fire, and we were evacuated and told to go home. So, analyze that.
Well, clearly you're psychic. That's the only thing I can understand from that. I don't have...
It's the only time that's happened that I've had like a foreshadowy dream.
I've probably had some that I've forgotten, but I never have like a foreshadowy dream story. But do you often?
Or did I manifest that fire so
That's
we could all go
pretty
home?
sick, because then you're pyrokinetic too, and that's just, you might as well be a superhero.
That would be, yeah.
Do you often have dreams
I wish.
about, I wouldn't say disasters, but like, you know, like a fire, like a very human style fear, you know, of like the building's on fire or my stuff's gone.
I have a couple. I would say I have a few reoccurring dreams. I have a specific reoccurring dream that's like super fucked up that I will talk about because it's just really weird. That is different and is more like a psychological thing. But I do have reoccurring dreams where there will be... So I have a reoccurring dream where I'm always the getaway driver in a robbery, which is always really funny because I don't have my driver's license. And usually I'm the getaway driver of like a stupid car. Like I think one time it was an ice cream truck. One time it was like a neon green minivan. We always get stuck in traffic. It's always a bad time.
Fair.
I have a reoccurring dream that there's usually like water-related disasters, like whether that's like lots of like hurricane-y things or tornadoes, but not usually fires. Most of the time my dreams center around like running away from people or like trying to fight people and like, you know, that thing where you want to punch and then you miss in your dream, that kind of thing. Or searching for a washroom in the dream. I know, Dream Hilary knows that she needs to use the washroom because I will be looking for a washroom in the dream and I will not be able to find one, or I will find one and there will be something wrong with it. So like one time in a dream I found a washroom. It was in a Tim Hortons, but it was like literally in the middle of, well, it was off in a corner, but it was like in the dining room of the Tim Hortons. And it was stalls, but the stalls came up to like my waist. So everybody would have seen ya. Like, they were just, people
That's just poor hygiene planning.
Or I'll find a bathroom, but it'll be, like, broken down or decrepit.
A lot of the bathrooms in my dreams are decrepit, for sure. I don't know why.
Yeah. I think it's because my body's like, you need a functional toilet, and then my imagination is like, you need to wake up because you're dreaming of toilets, except all these toilets are broken, so you need to get up and go to the one that isn't.
I think...
I also have...
I was going to say that most people need...
I also have dreams a lot where...
I was just going to say most people need functional toilets, and I think that's a common fear to a certain extent.
Generally.
Is having to poop, and there's no, like, good pooping location. I mean, that's happened a lot in my life, though.
I did pee outside today, so I understand that. I went on a little day trip, and because of COVID-19, there are no, like, you can't use the washrooms anywhere, hardly anywhere. And so we were like, well, we're not going to take our chances. We're just going to take back roads.
Yeah.
Like, in case, you know. Anyway, I digress. I was going to say, I often have dreams, and I wonder if you have this too, if you dream at all. I often have dreams where I will know, one of the ones that comes up a lot is I know that I'm at Disney World in my dream, like this is Disney World. And I've been to Disney World, but Dream Disney World looks nothing like it. Dream Disney World is often in the middle of the ocean, which is like absolutely incorrect. And precariously so. I often have dreams where it's like I'm floating on an island and I shouldn't, or flying through the air and I shouldn't be able to, and this is like, if I fall, I'm going to fall into the ocean, and, like, I don't know.
I don't know about that.
It's just...
I don't dream about Disneyland, to be fair, or Disney World, which is now open to the public, which is insane to me, but I digress.
It's going to be It's going to be closed
I
shortly, I think.
fucking hope so.
But anyway.
But I do have that feeling where I'm in somewhere that my mind recognizes to be a place while looking nothing like that place. Generally, and we're gonna. I feel like we should make a tally the times that I'm going to think out loud of this says a lot about me. But here's the first one. It's always cityscapes that I have that feeling in. So like I'll either think I'm in Montreal or I'll think I'm in Shenzhen in China, or like sometimes, like rarely, but Toronto, even though I've spent very little time there. It's just that feeling of like I'm in a city with public transit is always a part of it, like trying to find a subway. A dream I've had a few times on the subject real quickly is that I'm back in China and I've forgotten how to use the I've forgotten where I live, even though I haven't lived there in like 6 years at least now, and I know I have to use the public transportation system and I can't figure it out. So a little banal, but there it is.
No, I like sometimes my most like weird dreams are banal, so I get that. I often have dreams where I'm like walking through what I know to be downtown Toronto, but it looks more like Mechanicsville.
That's home for me.
So, or like I'll be at, I'll be in a high school, but it looks totally like I'll be at, I don't know, just like weird stuff, like somewhere. I also have a lot of theater related dreams, and I almost always dream about the show that I'm currently working on because that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I was in Peter Pan and I had a dream that, and this is also a reoccurring dream. It usually happens early on. I'll have a dream in the rehearsal process. I'll have a dream where it's like, we're going on tomorrow. Hope you know your lines. And I'm like, what? I got the script 3 hours ago. So, and I had a dream. The first one I remember like that was when I was playing Wendy in Peter Pan. And I had a dream they were like, LOL, the show's this weekend. And I was like, oh my God. And I went to go learn my lines. But we were doing Peter Pan in the round, which is like, what? And it was a musical. And they had decided they were going to fly us. Like, physically. Like, lift, like, yeah. Because they fly in Peter Pan. And I was like, but this is in the round. Like, you're going to see everybody fucking lifting us into the air. Anyway, and they had also... they had color-coded our cables, and mine was green. And I remember thinking, mine should be blue. I'm Wendy. Or pink. Peter's should be green. And then also, like, everyone's going to see them. Why are you color-coding them? Like, just so perplexed. Or I'll have to be doing, like, a dance number, and my feet won't move. Like, just weird stuff.
I don't usually have dreams about the thing I'm currently doing. I'll dream about a previous job or a previous schooling, but it'll almost never be the current schooling. And I don't know why.
Oh no, I have current dreams.
Yeah.
All the time.
See, that makes more sense to me, but for me, for some reason, my my dreams have a slow production time, so like, like a TV show you watch too long.
Have you ever seen... I know. Have you ever seen the movie Up? No, sorry, not Up.
Yep.
Inside Out. You know when they, like, go to the Dream production studios? And it's like a movie set? Anyway, that's just what I thought. Maybe your storylines take longer to develop.
Perhaps.
I don't know.
I have, like, messed up dreams, I like to think. I don't know. We'll as I describe some of them, we'll find out. But... do you?
Okay.
I'll start by opening the floor, though. Do you have spooky dreams often?
Like, do you mean spooky as in like night terror, or spooky as in like you wake up feeling icky, or just like reoccurring odd or awkward ones? I have a whole variety.
I feel like let's go through those in reverse order. Let's start with the odd, awkward, go into the feel icky. And then the night terrors.
So the odd, awkward one, and this is a reoccurring dream, and I don't know what this means, and A therapist would probably be like, wow, maybe she has problems.
Maybe.
But I don't know. Okay. I have a dream that I am house sitting. And I believe this is in part because I used to house sit for Carrie sometimes. I have a dream that I'm house sitting, not for Carrie, for one of my ex-boyfriend's family. They're a pretty well-off family from Orleans. I'm house sitting in their house. It is not actually their house, of course, because that's how locations work in my brain when I'm dreaming. So it's their house, air quotes, but it actually looks more like a like 90s suburban version, but of like Anne of Green Gables. So Green Gables, like a farmhouse, but very like suburban dusty rows. Anyway, lots of like thick carpet. In the dream, I'm house sitting for them. Usually it's like the day that they're coming home and I'm running around to clean everything, which is weird because like also in the dream I'm running around to clean things, but the house is not messy. Like it's really weird. Anyway, and then their son comes sometimes the family, because this reoccurs, sometimes the family comes home and they'll say things like, oh, son, like I just don't want to say the names, is looking for you. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to see that person. I'm going to leave. And then I literally like get my suitcase or my backpack and just walk out of the house. This dream also seems to be seasonally appropriate. So when I have it in the wintertime, it's winter outside. And when I have it in the springtime, it's spring. But I just like walk and leave. And that's usually the end of the dream.
Huh.
Sometimes though, he does show up. And he will say things to me, and I won't answer him, or I will say things to him, and he won't answer me, and then I'll leave. Sometimes I'm house sitting for my dad and Greta, but they live in Ottawa still, and it's next to a church on Baseline, which is weird. They live in New Brunswick now. But then also in the church, my old musical theater company, that I used to do musicals with, is rehearsing, and I'm helping them.
Responsibility.
We're in rehearsal.
You have a lot of responsibility, Dreamz.
I just have a lot of we're in rehearsal. Yeah, but I don't know. I have a reoccurring dream that I'm house sitting for my ex's family and various things. Sometimes they have a pet, which is weird because they're not that kind of people. Like both of the parents were working professionals. They just wouldn't have had pets. Anyway, just very like, what is that? Because like, if they ever asked me to house sit for them, I would say no.
I don't know.
Why?
I feel like maybe that's just a kind of standard. You're feeling trapped in a situation that you have agreed to something that on later thought you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have agreed to this. No, thank you.
But I feel like currently, or at least usually, like when it happens in my life, I don't feel that way. I don't know. I think it's just my brain trying to be like, you're better than everybody. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just a weird... That's where I'm like... I think of Professor Bellavance, who was just like, it's fucking stupid. Dreams don't make sense. That's where I'm like, yeah, they don't. Why would I house sit for someone like that I don't like?
That's fair.
Anyway, just very weird. Or I have that reoccurring dream where I'm at Disney World, but it's not Disney World. It's like this weird sandbar island in the middle of the ocean. But some of the rides are there, but they're all like stacked up on each other. Like if you were looking at a poster.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Like a theme park in perspective on a poster.
No, I understand.
But yeah. Or I have dreams where there is a building at Ottawa U it's got like a tundra in it, and I had class on the top floor, and I hate that building because I can't walk through the tundra. It gives me vertigo. So for a while, every now and then I'll have dreams where I have to like cross things like that, or like and in the dream it's always so safe. Everyone else is going, but just for me, I get like insane. I get like the ups too quick in my dream, which is kind of what happens in real life, and I just can't make it across. I'm just like, no, I can't do it, and I like crawl my way across in the dream, but it's...
Oh yeah. In my dreams, there's always questionable architecture, of just danger, tunnels, Let's just put a plank across it. I tend to think it's like decades of playing video games where they're just like, oh no, don't fall to your death, that I'm now like, oh god, I gotta not fall to my death.
Yeah, that makes a lot of
Careful.
sense.
Careful. I don't think things make too much sense. But for...
I have a question for you. Just on the topic of video games, do you find if you play a video game too much, you dream in the aesthetic?
No, but I'll dream in the mood of it, not the aesthetic, but the mood.
Okay, that's
yeah. But I find it has more to do with the mood, like not the universal mood, like as in if you played that same game, you'd have the same dream, though that would be really cool. More in the sense that like my particular feeling playing that game will be if I play too much, that'll be the mood of the game, for better or for worse, which isn't good with anxious games. But before we get to anxious, icky feelings, I have awkward dreams too.
Right, you have.
I have dreams where this has happened a bunch of times, and think of what this means yourself about me. I'm making another note, where people come to me, and they might be people I know, or celebrities, or people I tangentially know, or people I'm told of, but I've never put a face to the name, and they're kind of jerks. And then in my dream, I can either I or someone else confronts them about it, and then there's a long breakdown of trying to figure out how they're a jerk and how they can improve. And then usually people kind of feel better by the end of it. It's a weird kind of, like, it's a nice little scenario of problem solving, of social problem solving. But it's always a little weird when I wake up. I'm like, why? I don't think of these people, and I don't think these people are like that in real life, but I think...
But does the issue get resolved?
Usually, yeah. Usually the issue is resolved, and the answer is... almost every time that the person is not really that much of a jerk. They just came across as a jerk, and when given the proper means to kind of express themselves, they weren't a jerk, and everyone felt a little better. Now, this is obviously very heavily colored by my core belief system of conflict, but also, like, a lot of my studies had to do with this kind of conflict resolution, right? So that's where I think it's from. But I also think it's like this weird, naive, optimistic part of me that I'm not really ready to let go of, that says, you know, things can be solved and it's possible for people to get better. I don't know if that makes me a nerd. Okay. But
no, it's just impressive, because I have dreams where I pick fights with people, or like I will just rage at someone. Like everything they do is terrible, and whenever they show up in the dream, I just scream at them. Like I would never behave like that in real life, ever. I don't know why. My subconscious thinks it's okay, I guess. But the issue's never resolved. Usually I'm yelling at them, and they're just like whatever, or they just ignore me, or they just like stare back. Like, so that's why I asked you. I was like, wait, does the problem get solved in your dream?
Usually when it's like a social problem. As we go down this ladder into deeper dreams, other issues don't get resolved as well. But that would be what I would call like an awkward dream. Besides like I think the universal awkward dream, where you dream someone doing something so out of character that you wake up and you're like, ugh, that's fucking weird.
Yeah. Or like you dream something awkward about yourself, like all of a sudden you're naked or whatever, which I don't think I don't have like, oh my God, I'm naked dreams. I have dreams where I'm like shopping for clothes or like going somewhere and I don't have a bra on, and I feel weird about not having a bra on.
I almost never have those like, no, bra on. No, I never have a bra on. But the naked dream, like the oh my God, public speaking or otherwise, and I'm naked and it's inappropriate.
Yeah.
I think it's just because I don't really care in real life.
I think we're introverts, so it's just not a dream
that
affects us. That's the one. Sorry.
God damn, it's the title,
we're not
Hilary.
Introverts. So for us, I know. So So for us, it wouldn't so much be like, oh, I'm in my underwear in front of a
No.
crowd. It would be like, there's no one in the crowd.
But I think that's it for awkward ones. Do you have another one, or do you want to go to icky dreams?
Well, I feel like my awkward and icky can easily blend together. So, like, super embarrassingly, and also this happened in high school, and I'm sure this happens to everyone. So people are going to be like, wow, Hilary. And I'm like, well, don't lie. You did it too. Having, like, weird sex dreams about your friends.
Oh, absolutely.
But, like, people that you don't or people you don't expect that you know, and then you wake up and you're like, I do not think about them that way at all. That I often, like, I'll get, like, some occasional icky ones like that.
When I was younger, I'd have dreams that I, like, where people that I was either trying to have sexy times with in the dream, often not in real life, would transform into either other people or, most troubling, other creatures, that always made me feel real icky. I remember.
I have a.
I had a specific dream that I have never forgotten when I was a teenager and filled with hormones. That I imagined that I was sleeping with someone in the romantic sense. I don't want to just say fucking because that feels aggressive, but I was fucking someone, and then they transformed into a giant tarantula, and I didn't see it. I wasn't like third person. How it happened, I didn't have a vision of it. I just knew it. And I woke up going, wow, that's...
So, okay, that's like some arachne crazy.
Arachnophilia, I guess.
I too have a creepy dream from my teenage years that is similar. Mm-hmm. So I don't necessarily have dreams that people transform into things. I have dreams that, like, once I take their clothing off, it's like something is wrong. And the only example I ever remember is I had a dream, and I must have been like 16 or 17. I had a dream that I was going to give a man in the dream. At the time, like, I was very pure when I was 17, let's just say. Anyway, so I'm having this dream. The guy in my dream is significantly older than me and, like, greasy. Think that coach from Big Mouth. Like, yucky. Yeah. I don't know, though. In my dream, I'm into it. So whatever. I go to take off his pants, and Arja, his penis was... And it had, like, a little mushroom cap on it and everything, but his penis was like a hard spaghetti noodle, like more like an udon noodle. Like
in size?
Like that kind of thickness.
That's not normal.
Mm-hmm. And like stupid long, like 12 inches. Like not a real length. And I remember in my dream looking down at it and going, what is that? And then I woke up and I was like, what the fuck? So yeah, so I understand the, like, weird hormonal teenage dreams.
Oh yeah.
I just that one always stuck with me, and I just was like what if your dick was just like an udon noodle? How would you pee? It's like a little tiny hose, like a garter, like a little garter.
But well, like, I mean, anyway, if you boil it.
That's probably to date. Yeah, that's probably. Well, no, it wasn't. Was it boiled in the dream?
God.
Kinda, yeah. It was boiled. I don't remember thinking it was hard. Anyway, that's been to date my ickiest dream, where I'm like, where did that come from? Go back
that's
away.
Fair. I don't think I've gotten anything that icky.
Well, the spider one.
Well, I guess, yeah. I guess because I've lived it, I don't think it's that icky. But I think another difficulty that I might face that you might not is that men wake up with boners sometimes. And contextually, that makes dreams weirder. But I don't want to point that out like it's... I don't think it's a fair point because it's just coincidence. And any dream, almost, when you wake up feeling a bit weird and you have a boner, you're going to be like, ah! Have I awoken a fetish? No! So that one's just free, I think.
Oh, no.
But in like icky awkward as a mix, I don't know. I'd have dreams where like people I used to be closer to, whether romantic or otherwise, have now made they've inserted themselves into my life again suddenly, and I don't know how to feel about it, and it's those ones are never resolved. Those ones are always just like, I'll see someone and they'll always be obviously whatever age they were, like, it's been a while for some of these people. I'm thinking of people that I dream of like from high school. And so that was, Jesus, Hilary, that was like 10 years ago. But they're still their age, so they're still teenagers, and I'm a fucking grown adult. And it's just always, I don't feel good seeing you. And then that's it. Then I'll wake up and being like, see, those are the moments that I refuse to believe in the whole like psychicness, because I never hear from those people. I never then look up those people, It always just makes me feel like, oh, that was weird. Now I'm going to think about something that gives me anxiety and then do nothing about it, because that's the smart call. The last thing anyone wants to get is like a message, email, or otherwise that says, hey, remember me? I dreamt about you and I felt weird, so I decided to contact you.
Just reaching out.
Yeah.
How you doing?
That's a bit too far for me, I think. I would never.
Oh, I would never. That's just...
Ugh.
Could you imagine? Dear ex-boyfriend, occasionally I have a dream where I'm house sitting for you. Just want to let you know.
I mean, if any of your exes listening to this podcast, they're just going to assume it's them. Oh, wait, you described the house a little bit, so they'll know. So there you go, secret's out.
Well, the one that it's about will know that it's him, and Carrie will also know who it is.
Well, there you go.
Otherwise... I mean, I don't know. Who cares? He's probably married now. He has a dog with his current partner.
Is that the connection?
They're probably
if they have
engaged.
A dog, they're probably married.
Well, I mean, it's a commitment. It's
All right.
They live together.
God damn. Why am I not married? All right. Let's.
You have to ask.
Let's escalate a little bit. Let's go into spooky, okay. Scary dreams. I have like a lot to say, so let's. Do you get spooks often?
I don't think so. I would just say I have like melancholy dreams, or I have dreams where things are scary, like I'm being pursued or chased. But when I wake up, I'm like, oh, that was just a dream. So I wouldn't say that I remember or hold on to those as well as the more awkward / like just fucked up dreams. So I can't think of any right now, but possibly your stories might inspire me. So go ahead. I'm excited to hear.
All right. I'll have to remember some of them as we go. But so I have nightmares often. I would say 2 to 3 times a week.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it's cool. It's just kind of how I live my life. And it is rare for them to... So, oftentimes, in layers of how scary they are, let's say a level 1 is, I need to get up and pee. Not just because I need to pee, because usually I do. It's the middle of the night. But also because I need to kind of move to leave the dream feeling. So that would be a level 1 fear. A level 2 is I get up and move, and then I can't go back to sleep. Like I can't let go of the dream. And I just stay up like scared for a while. And then I would say a level 3, which is rarer. So the first one get up and pee. That one's the more common one. The get up and can't fall asleep, I would say like every 2 weeks or so that happens. But the third level where it's like, I've gotten up, I've peed, I've gone back to bed, and it's not happening, and I need to go do something else. Like, I either need to go into a well-lit room, for sure, and I need to do something else, which sometimes, weirdly enough, involves going and finding more horror. So, like, I'll go and, like read scary stories or, like, watch scary things because, like, when in Rome. But that's to me, like, the peak is, like, when it's like sleep is off the menu, boys. It's time to fuck off for a while. But so those are kind of my levels, and that happens like once every 2 months. That's very rare, but like those ones suck. But I can tell you how almost.
Do you have? I was gonna say, do you have any reoccurring?
I have elements that reoccur. So okay. The first thing is that always reoccurs is 99% of how nightmares start, which involves me kind of begging the question. We just whatever's happening, my brain like consciously goes, man, this would be really fucked up if it got scary right now. And that's almost always how it starts. Ugh. Like a lot of them will start off kind of innocent or like just things happening, like I'm in a house or I'm in a field, and the first thing that happens is, wow, this alleyway, if there were dangerous things or if it was haunted, this would get real fucking bad right now because I'm stuck here for whatever dream reason. And that's how it usually starts.
Oh.
Okay.
So you bring it upon yourself in a way, but yes.
Way to victim blame. But yes, absolutely. I 100% bring it upon myself. So let's talk about some recurring themes. So I rarely dream of being chased because I know you brought it up. It's always more encompassing than that. Because chasing implies that one, I could get away, or two, ooh, birds. Or two, that it is something that it is capable, that running would change anything, or I guess a way to put it is you're not gonna, like, there's no fear of being chased when the terror is all encompassing, which is generally a theme. So there's not usually a lot of chasing, and very, very rarely is it a person. And by person, I mean human. I am not afraid of humans. Oh. And I'm not afraid of animals outside of like you'd be afraid if there was a bear. Like that level. Like I don't dream about bears. Bears are terrifying, but like I don't dream that a bear is going to get me. Just in case you wanted to know. It's almost always paranormal. And it's always paranormal in a very malicious way. So,
like spirits, or like...
I guess I don't know what to call them because they're always shifting, but a spirit works for our example. So I'll give you a straight example of a dream that I've had, and I'll give you what the setting is, and then I'll tell you how it happens because those two ideas don't mix. So the setting is like it's usually in a house, so it's usually very familiar, even if it's not my house. Sometimes it's my parents' house, sometimes it's in name only, but and whatever spirits that are haunting, for lack of a better term, that house have total control over it, and generally have control over the people in it. So I can't trust anyone in there because they are influenced by the spirit and therefore are looking to trap me. And right. And what happens is usually it's pitch black, it's dark, and I know that the spirit knows that I know it's going to attack me, and I need to like outsmart it or hide from it or just die. Those are my only options. And So usually I never see what would be called a spirit. There's always like the creepy little girls or like things that stand out or things with dark eyes that always like, those are free. But most of the time it's not so much a seeing of a monster as it is the knowledge of the monster is close.
Or like the feeling of it.
So this is, I'm realizing what I'm going to say sounds like being chased, but I want to specify. I dream a lot that I'm trying to escape. Not that something's trying to chase me down, but I need to get out. And I can't. And then and this is, now I'm going to describe what the dream actually feels like, is it's a series of loops. So what'll usually happen is I'm in my bed in the dream, and the room is dark. I'm either alone or not. And if I'm not alone, usually it's because someone is with me that I want to protect. That is not influence. There are people in the house and they are either influenced and they are coming for me, or it doesn't matter, they can't help me and I need to go. I will get up from the bed or wherever I am, and I am heavy and I cannot move very well. I cannot really see very well. And I go for the door and it takes all of my energy. Maybe because the spirit is affecting me, or maybe just dream physics is a bitch. I will get through the door and I will know immediately that I've been spotted by the spirit and it is coming from me. And I will then either try to escape the house or, and I shit you not, try to play it off as an I don't, like, you know, I know they found me, but if I play it cool, maybe they won't attack. Inevitably, the dark house gets darker and either I'm attacked or I manage to try to make it to the next room. And what happens is I'll wake up in the bed again. And I remember all of this, and I know I've failed, and I know I've been trapped again. So I have to get up and try again. And this will keep happening. Like, 5, 6, 7, I don't know, I don't really count, a bunch of times as I'll get more and more panicked as I can't escape. And then I'll wake up usually. So that's a dream I've had a bunch. I wake. Those are like it's hard too because nothing, like, in my mind there's nothing really scary about that. But I wake up like absolutely terrified.
Well, it's not scary, boo. It's like scary as an oppressive, repeated, cyclical behavior. Feelings of like terror, you know what I mean? Like sustained. It's like instead of having a panic attack, it's like sustained anxiety.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And usually the theme,
because I've had similar dreams.
Because I do think it is close to anxiety, so maybe you can relate to that. But also, like, for me, those kind of settings are really kind of common where it's a house. I just remembered another one where I was a kid in the dream, and there was a spirit in the house, and the spirit was making my parents, which I remember thinking they were adoptive parents, but basically they were going to skin me, and I had to kind of like lock the door so they couldn't get in. But at the same time, I had to live my life. You know, you can't, because that makes total sense, but like, you can't stop living your life, going to school and dealing with them. It was like, it was my understanding of it.
Arjo locks the door against the spirit, then goes and zooms into like.
To be fair, it wasn't COVID during that, so there was no setup then.
It's true.
But like, and I understand this is kind of like the aspects of an abusive relationship between parents and kids. And before anyone says it, I'm going to make a notch, and I'm going to promise you, I did not have an abusive childhood, so it's not that easy. But absolutely, that kind of feeling of helplessness and a real kind of sinister. It's never just. I never dream of something that just wants to eat me, you know? Like, it wants me in a much more darker way, whether it wants to, like...
It wants to
to break me, or it wants me to be afraid more than anything else. And the things that it influences don't just, aren't just content with being shitty. Like, you know, I have dreams where I've had like things screaming in my face repeatedly as I've woken up, and they scream, and I've woken up and scream, and I'm just trying to like get over existing in the nightmare for like whatever amount of time before I wake up. And that's the thing that always gets me. Like, it's never not malicious, the nightmares. It's always like something is really trying its best in my dream to really fuck with me. It's never kind of a, oh no, spooks.
Do you ever wake up from a dream, and it could be a bad dream or just a weird dream, then go back to sleep and continue?
Yes, often when it's a nightmare. Like, very often.
Okay.
I usually just think that's because I haven't...
Shitty.
I don't know. Maybe it's I haven't finished with the dream, but I think a lot more likely that it's still on my mind. And so it's still fresh. But often, like, every time I do that, the dream gets less and less tangible, you know? It's almost like the opposite of real life, where when you repeat a task, things become more... like you understand it better. But those dreams, the more times I have them, the more I forget them, and the less concrete they are when I wake up from them, where I'm just like, that wasn't really like the previous dream. Okay. So maybe it's like a hot tub. You get used to it the longer you're in it.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it's also like a part of the horror I like, that I fill my life with, is kind of this kind of horror where it's the horror of horror, not necessarily like there's two, not
gore or violence. It's more it's the being scared. It's the thrill of being scared, as opposed to
the fear of a chase or something.
Like, I think of people who like watch people who watch true crime versus like a thriller.
Yeah. I mean, the scariest part to true crimes for me, for some people, like that I've had conversations with people, is sometimes the realization that on an existential sense, they're less safe than they thought they were, which I think that works. Like, I don't know a lot of people who, at least in my experience, who talk to me about true crimes and they're like, oh, and then he cut out their eyes. I'd hate to get my eyes cut out. I'd be like, yeah, no shit. But it's often, they tend to talk about how he was just their neighbor, 25 years, and, never did anything. They like let their kids sleep over at his house or something for babysitting, and then one day just mass murderer. Can you believe that? And that I get. Like, that's kind of... But it is. It's like...
He ran the corner store.
I used to buy Twizzlers from him. But that's the thing, like...
He sold me penny candy.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me, because it's more of a sense of, like, not being safe anymore. And that kind of fear I get. But, like, the two horror that I really like there's what I'll call meta horror, which is, like, horror about horror. So something like Get Out or... I was
gonna say, like, Get Out or This
Yeah, and a lot of...
Or no, not This Is Us.
Yeah, it's just us.
Right?
Cabin in the Woods, or a lot of surrealism. There's a few like horror games I like that kind of have these aspects where it's not about like they're self-aware in a sense, and the horror is about the horror, and I really like, those are my favorite things on the planet because I think they're really interesting. But the other kind of horror that I really like, which I feel like translates to my dreams very well, is what I call the horror of the banal. And it's just like, we kind of talked about this in one of our other podcasts, where it's the realization that you subscribe to something or you're involved in something that's just so horrifying, but it's just normal. And I find that to be terrifying, in the same way of like when I was, as I've grown up and started to understand the fear that like women have walking home alone, or that a fear of someone might have in an abusive relationship, or like, just this uncontrollable normal fear that this is just what the world is like now, and you just have to accept it. Like, I love that. I love that very, very much. Or like another way that I like it, I was telling my partner, I love, there's like this genre of music I really like where it's moody people being sad about doing too many drugs and having too much sex and things like that. Like, that shit is like 10 out of 10 in my book. I always love it. But that to me is the same kind of horror. Like, you know, when you listen to a song about someone being in a loveless relationship that's just empty but emotionally but filled with physical contact, like, I don't know, like fucking Arctic Monkeys or shit like that. I know it's pretty dumb, but there's a few others. Like Arcade Fire is really good at this. Mother has aspects of this too, like just this horror, like the horror of just like, I'm just stuck in this empty situation where there is no meaning anymore, and this is my life now. And I sometimes think that my dreams are just more exaggerated versions of that, where it is not terrible because I submit to something terrible. It is terrible because I submit to something, you know? Like, I fail. Like, I am taken over. And that is the ultimate fear to me. Well, there you go. I guess I learned something because I just thought of that now. I'm marking it as 4 things I've learned about myself. But maybe that's something about who I am and the dreams I have.
I don't know.
We should watch some, but like in the future, we should watch some scary shit. I'm always a big fan.
I'm not a big horror person. That's the thing. Because as a child, I had a very impressionable imagination. And so if I saw something scary, I would get nightmares. And I didn't
No, I get that. I think the reason I've become who I am is because I couldn't turn those 2 parts of my brain off. Like the part that's overly imaginative and constantly working, and the part that wants to see scary things. Those 2 things don't sit together well, and I couldn't give up on either of them. They were too important to me. And so I just kind of got used to it, like the hot tub, you know? I get really, like, there's a lot of scary shit, and there's also a lot of stupid shit that scares me to this day. Like, I'm very easily scared, and I think people misunderstand that when I tell them about we should watch scary things, but, like, absolutely, I'm very easily scared, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, my thing is I don't like, some people like the thrill of being scared like you do. I don't like that feeling. It gives me anxiety. But in the same way that, like, I get that same feeling that you get when I go on a roller coaster, whereas some people are like, no, I will not.
Yeah, I've been on like 1 or 2 roller coasters in my life. I'm really scared of them. But then I kind of, before I went to China, I faced my fears, and it was fucking phenomenal. So absolutely, do the things that scare you. I also was going to say, I don't know if you relate to this, but I find part of the reason I like horror and I like being scared because it is an anxiety I can control. Because my regular anxieties are uncontrollable and just overwhelming, even if they're stupid, you know, like my anxiety that I will never succeed or do well enough, or my anxiety that...
Yeah, or that something going to happen. I sympathize with that, except instead of, I get that release from, well, not now, but...
roller coasters.
From the anxiety of performing. No, of performing. Because performing can be super, super anxiety-riddled, but it's also cathartic at the same time. So I understand why, like, it's, you know, yes, it's an anxiety you can control. I feel like for me, if I were to watch a scary movie, I would not be able to control that anxiety.
I suppose.
That's my thing. But, I mean, I know you can always turn it off. My thing is I get, like, an idea or an image or a phrase or a sound will stick in my mind, and I won't be able to get it out of my mind. And that's where I'm like, oh, I can't do scary movies. Like, we watched Saw... one time, a group of us in high school, and I had to watch Ice Age 7 times when I got home. Like, I didn't sleep. I just watched Ice Age on repeat to try and forget frickin' Carrie Ellis just sawing his leg off. So
see, that just sounds so good to me, to have something stuck in your head so much, because it then becomes a part of your emotional and verbal language.
I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want that. No. But I also don't consume a lot of scary stuff, so I also don't have a lot of nightmares. I consume a lot of fucked up weird shit, so I have a lot of fucked up weird dreams. That's
maybe. I don't know how much.
Also,
I wonder how much that connect is, because I'm sure there's people out there who have horror night terrors and don't watch horror, and vice versa.
That avoid. Oh, probably. I'm sure. I feel like you probably have more nightmares because you watch horror. Therefore, your brain is just predisposed to go to that place, right? Especially when your brain is relaxed. If you watch horror movies as a way to relax when you're sleeping, similar feeling,
I've never
right?
watched them to relax, to be fair.
Well, okay then. I don't know. My boss loves horror movies, and he's like, it's what I put on when I just want to chill out. And I'm like, oh, really? Like, when I just want to chill out, I put on, like, Downton Abbey. But, I mean, I don't know. I can understand the appeal behind horror. I can understand the appeal behind... I really like psychological thrillers. So if we were to watch a horror movie, I think it would have to be something like Midsummer.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
Or Get Out.
That's just funny.
Or Us, but as opposed to like something with excessive gore or like I don't think I could do Paranormal Activity. I don't think I could do stuff with paranormal things, but that's just because I believe in paranormal things, and I'm like, I don't want to. I'm delightfully ignorant about the capabilities of poltergeists at the moment. I don't need to see like even fictional accounts of what they could
see. That's
do.
funny because apparently my dreams believe in them, but I don't believe in them at all. So it's a weird dichotomy there. I don't know. I think like I find that a lot of people prefer psychological horror, but in my experience of talking to people, what they end up following it up with is usually just that they watched good horror, you know? Like, psychological horror just sounds nicer until you find something that just does it badly, and you're like, oh, that's stupid. And gore is the same thing, that gore is just usually done poorly, but when it's done well... like if you ever watch a Guillermo del Toro, I can't pronounce his name, like Pan's Labyrinth and that shit. A lot of those movies have a very specific gore moment that hits the villain and makes them inhuman in a way, and that's gore. But it's very well done, so like you don't really notice it and think about it in the same way you might think. Like, and then his head flew off and his stomach came out of his neck. It was crazy.
It's true. It's true. And I'm sure if the film had like a compelling storyline or something interesting, I would be more inclined to watch it. Like Saw is just, manipulation, and we're going to put a bunch of people in the room to teach them
the first one's good. The rest of them are garbage.
Well, I've seen the first one, and I don't need to see it ever again. But I can definitely understand the appeal, because I feel that way about sad things. Like, I like watching sad things sometimes, but I don't know. I've never gravitated towards it, and so we really.
No, it's okay. These are my dreams. I think. I am a bit of a person who indulges in his emotions, so like I get it with sadness and every feeling. If I could get more of it, I'd be pretty fucking happy. And maybe we can do some things that like we can start with sad things and then we can work our way to scary things. But
yeah, because I do believe that everybody needs to experience catharsis, and you could definitely get that from scary movies. Oh,
absolutely. You can get that from scary movies, scary games. I find scary games really good because the agency is in your court to continue it. So
agency. Ding, ding,
speaking
ding,
of
ding,
things
ding,
that come up every episode, it's time for our demand to our listeners. I figured... you read my mind. Keep a dream journal. But that's really big and daunting. So what I'm going to say is write down your next 3 dreams you remember. It doesn't have to be like sequential, you know. The next 3 dreams that you remember, write them down. Okay. I'm going to do that. And
then email
Absolutely.
them into us.
Email them, post it on Instagram, and tag us, whatever the fuck you want. It's a great time. And who doesn't like dreams? Wow. Apparently me. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, you.
I just got a urgent message from the Prime Minister. He said that you should all go and listen to more Charming Extroverts at charmingextroverts.podbean.com. That if you were so inclined, you could check us out on YouTube, which is also on the internet.